Static grass is one of the greatest things ever to happen to railroading and terrain building and all those miniature scale types of things. Without it, we'd still be using sawdust and things like that for ground cover, and it's meh at best. It's okay if you're starting out and you just want to get a feel for it and want to figure out what's going on. But pretty soon you want to move on to something else that's a little more realistic, a little more versatile maybe. That's where static grass comes in. Unfortunately, in most cases, I don't think it lives up to its potential. So why don't we go ahead and try something to make it look really fantastic. Like I said, regular grass looks pretty decent, but I think we can do some more with this, especially if we want to customize it to something more than just plain grass. A static grass applicator is a pretty good idea. I would recommend going over to Luke Towan's YouTube channel called Boulder Creek Railroad, and he's got a 2-part video on how to make one. The tufts we're going to make are about a dozen ingredients. It's a little over the top, but the results I think are pretty good. We'll start with the glue. All it is Eileen's tacky glue, mixed in with a couple of browns until I like the color, and mix. That's about it. In order to create a static field, you need metal, or something conductive, so I'm using copper. Be sure to spray it with a release agent. This will make getting everything off a lot easier when we're done. When you like the color, a barbecue skewer is just fine to dab it on. We're using 4 different kinds of turf, of varying mixtures, sizes, and colors. If you look closely at the thumbnail for this video, you'll see probably 5 or 6 different colors mixed in with the grass as kind of an underbrush. I think this gives a lot of depth to what we're doing. And so you don't have to do what I'm doing with this, but in the end it really looks pretty good. The main ingredient in the sand is Desert Blend Critter stuff from the pet store. It's just crushed walnut shells. You can add different kinds. The ballast from Woodland Scenics, again, crushed walnut shells. It just comes in different colors and sizes. You mix a few of them together, you get a pretty good mixture. If it looks familiar to you, you might want to go over to Games Workshop and see what they're selling these days. The super turf is where this really starts to get a lot of life, because we have a lot of smaller things on here. The super turf adds quite a different color. Also, if you want a large weed in here, this stuff is really good. So we're not going to sprinkle it on. We're just going to dump some out on the table and take individual pieces. This is the most tedious part of the project, but it doesn't take that long. And again, it just adds a lot of life. I filmed the application of this in 60 frames a second and then slowed it down to half speed so you can kind of see what's going on. The copper really helps create a pretty strong static field because it's so conductive, and you can use a cookie sheet or something like that if you want, but I went and bought a piece of copper and they're not that expensive, about $5, and I've gotten quite a bit of use out of it. And this is why you want a release agent. Here's what everything looks like side by side. Tufts we just made versus the ones from the beginning of the video, and you can see there's quite a difference. Here's Elmister just chilling with one fabulous looking tuft on his base. Well, there you have it. And just remember, all of this stuff is as customizable as you want it to be. There's no hard and fast recipe for making static grass. You don't even need the grass if you don't want it, depending on what the look you're going for. But if you did like the video, please hit the subscribe button, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Thanks.